Today, I'm going to show you 5 different funnels to figure out which one you should be using in 2025. We're going to cover the pros and the cons of each one and make sure you hang out till the end because the last funnel we're going to look at practically prints money. Now, to kick things off, we're going to start with the classic book a call funnel. You'll see these steps look a little bit different from funnel to funnel, but generally there is an opt-in page of some kind. Sometimes you'll have an application or a survey that serves as a qualifying metric. You'll have a calendar page where people can book their appointment, and you'll have a confirmation or a thank you page at the end, the actual sales call that they show up to, the sales page and order form you send them to, and then a thank you page to thank them for buying or joining your program. Let's talk pros. Based on my experience, book a call funnels are great because you don't actually need a ton of traffic in order to get them profitable. These handful of pages are also super easy for even beginners to set up on their own, and they work really well for folks who have medium to high ticket programs to sell. One of the other pros is because you're taking these calls one-on-one, you're able to directly address whatever objections your individual client has, which means compared to some of the other funnels I'll show you today, you actually get generally higher close rates from book a call funnels compared to anything else. Now let's talk about cons. Book a call funnels are more manual than some of the other funnels that you'll see today. You're manually taking phone calls. If somebody fills out the application but then doesn't book the call, you have to manually reach out to them and then book them into the calendar again. And on top of that, there's not a whole lot of opportunity to automate steps inside of a book a call funnel. It's also fairly low leverage compared to some of the other funnels because you can only take one sales call at a time. Overall, book a call funnels are great for people who are just getting started, have something expensive to sell, and don't have a ton of money to spend on ads. Because look at this, with only about $1,000 in ad spend and numbers that are frankly really unforgiving, like this one assumes that you get 30 people who show up onto the call to actually go to the sales page, and then 50% of those people chicken out. But if we go and we run the simulator, you can see that even with these really unrealistic metrics, you're already profitable inside of a funnel like this. Number 2, let's talk webinar funnels. Webinar funnels I've seen get really romanticized over the past couple of years, but there's a lot of things about them that many people don't consider. So the way a webinar funnel works is that you have a registration opt-in that then leads to a thank you page. Now, depending on how far away your webinar is when they opt in, they may get one of 3 different emails that you'll send out over the 3 days. When they show up to the webinar, they'll have the opportunity to go down this path here and be able to buy right on the webinar. And if they don't buy, you actually have email sequences that can go out and just reignite people back in. One of the best parts about using a webinar funnel is that you have so much leverage. You're not taking one call at a time and getting one sale at a time like you are on the book a call funnel. You can talk to 50, 100, 1,000 people at a time and get all of those people to buy that day. Because you're able to do that, you're able to get high amounts of cash flow in just a really short period of time. And the average webinar is able to sell up to a $1,000 offer with just a 90-minute presentation. So let's talk about some cons. One of the first problems you'll run into with a webinar funnel is that the timeline for when they sign up and when they show up to the webinar is a lot longer than it is on a sales call. With sales calls, you generally do same day, next day booking, whereas on a webinar, they may be waiting upwards of 3 days to show up to it. And so what we immediately find is that show rates are generally lower on webinar funnels than they are on book a call funnels. Number 2 is that by the pure nature of webinar funnels being a one-to-many game, it's a volume game. And so you have to have a lot more money to spend on traffic to get that volume into your webinar. The last thing, and this is the one that a lot of people don't talk about, is that webinars have a skill prerequisite, meaning that there's skills that you already need to have before you can really make webinar funnels work. So ideally, you already know what all of the common objections are on your webinar because you don't get to talk to people one-on-one anymore. You have to address all of those objections on your webinar. You also need to be able to tell stories. You know how to break false beliefs. You need to understand the funnel structure. Webinar funnels are also very email dependent. So you need to understand how to write email copy, how to write a lot of sales copy. And so webinar funnels are amazing. We have used it to make a ton of money over the past couple of years, but it is a much higher level strategy. And if you're brand new trying to do webinar funnels, it's really easy to lose a lot of money on it. And so if you have all of this work, but you're sending maybe 1,000 people into it, the first thing that we find when we run our simulation is that this is a lot of steps where a lot of things can break, but it doesn't have nearly the same return on ad spend that the book a call funnel did. The next funnel I'm going to talk about is also pretty popular right now. This is the challenge funnel. Challenge funnels are very simple. You generally have some type of opt-in for people to sign up to your challenge. Sometimes people do these for free, sometimes they do paid challenges, but generally the structure of the funnel looks pretty similar. So once they opt in, they immediately get the first chunk of content. And then there's generally about a day-long gap in between each different section of content that you're going to cover in the challenge. This particular funnel is set up for a 3-day challenge, but I've seen challenges go upwards of 30 days. And so it's just a matter of adding more content steps in between. Once they get to the end, you generally drive them on the last day of the challenge to the sales page, and then people go ahead and they buy your offer from here. One of the things that I really like about these challenge funnels is that they build a lot of trust really, really fast. If you compare this to a webinar funnel, somebody is going to trust you more if they have spent multiple days with you, as opposed to if they've just been on your webinar for 90 minutes. And so if you're able to get people to stick around for every day of the webinar, the likelihood that they buy the offer at the end, I think, is usually higher than webinars are, at least in my experience. The second pro is that people perceive these challenges to be really, really valuable. So if I have like a 3-day challenge that teaches you how to get leads for your website, that's something that a lot of people will actually sign up for. And so you can get pretty decent opt-in rates. And because it's really high value, I have found that it is easier to convert cold traffic into challenges compared to doing it off of webinars. The downside of challenge funnels is that they generally take a little bit more prep work because you have to prep multiple days worth of content for every day that you're doing in the challenge. Oftentimes you're also creating workbooks and other resources to help people get the result by the end of the challenge. The turnaround time on these is also generally slower than, say, a book a call funnel. In a book a call funnel, you can usually turn that sale around inside of a couple of days, whereas challenge funnels, just purely by their nature, can take upwards of a week to get somebody to convert on them. The last thing worth considering is that until your challenge is good enough where you can just make videos and just put videos onto the page, you're generally going to be getting onto a Zoom call or something like that every day that you hold the challenge until you get to the end. And so that is going to require more investment, not just up front when it comes to building the curriculum, but also during the challenge for you to actually host it for them. Plus, if you're doing challenges live, it generally means that you can't have people sign up whenever they want. You have to do it in cohorts, which means that you have your cohort itself, and then you have all of this time prior that you're trying to get people to opt in for it. Overall, it's a little bit longer of a timeline to actually get the first dollar over the line here, but it does convert cold traffic really, really well. And when we run the simulator on this, we can see that we get pretty comparable results to what we got on the webinar funnel. The next funnel we're going to talk about is called the book funnel. Now, you can sell stuff other than books inside of a funnel structure like this, but usually you see this done when people are selling either a book or a PDF. So the steps go like this. All of the traffic just goes straight to a sales page that has generally a $27 book on it. When people buy that $27 book, they get a $97 upsell to something like a course. If they say yes to this, then they go to the thank you page. But if they say no, now they go to this downsell. This downsell is usually for something that's about half the price. So this could be a mini course or a challenge ticket or whatever you want it to be. And then regardless if they say yes or no here, then they get sent to the thank you page. One of the pros of using a book funnel like this is that it's a really low barrier to entry offer. And so it kind of makes it a no-brainer for folks. People who buy things are generally more valuable to a company than people who consume free stuff. And so the leads that you will generate off of this page will generally be higher value, and you'll get higher take rates from them when you make your further offers that you'll make down the road. The biggest downside of doing a funnel like this is that the money you're going to make off of the front end usually isn't enough to offset what you pay in the ads. And so you have to have a strong back end with this upsell and downsell and pretty good conversion rates on it in order to make this funnel profitable. And to demonstrate this, even if you have, let's say, a 10% take rate on this $97 and a 15% take rate on the $47 downsell. So we can see when we have that the numbers do work and we're able to turn a profit. And so let's say, for example, that you're not able to get any conversions off of the back end here. What you'll find immediately is that your profits pretty much drop through the floor. So you need to have strong conversion rates on the upsell and downsell pages in order to make enough money to be able to reinvest some capital back into your paid ads. And in my experience, I've seen these funnels do really well whenever you're able to drive warm traffic to them. So if you already have an email list and you're able to drive those people over to this page and you don't have to pay the acquisition costs again, then anything that you make off of this funnel is basically just profit that hits straight to the bottom line. The last funnel I want to show you is called a tripwire opt-in funnel. And so to walk you through the process here, immediately what happens is that, you run this traffic through and you have a really strong lead magnet here at the beginning. Because you have a strong lead magnet, we're sometimes able to get up to 50% of people to take this opt-in. And as soon as they opt in, that's when they activate the tripwire. Because what happens next is that it has this long sequence of different offers that we're going to make to the prospect. So we immediately start with a $27 one that, let's say, we sell 20% of. Then we have this $37 upsell that 12% of people take and 88% say no to. After that, we go to what we call the profit maximizers. This is a $300 offer that we're going to make that 15% of people might take. For the people who don't take that, we have a downsell that happens at $200 that then leads to the thank you page. One of the biggest pros of a tripwire opt-in funnel is because you have that great lead magnet at the beginning, this can work really well for cold and warm audiences all the same. The average order value is generally higher than what you'll get from, say, a book funnel. And this is one of those funnels where you don't need a whole lot of ad spend in order to start. The only real downside to a tripwire opt-in is that it requires you to have all of these products ready to sell. If you don't already have these, it's going to be a massive time investment for you to make all of the offers that go into the tripwire. And on top of that, you're going to invest a bunch of time into making a really, really good lead magnet that can get 30, 40, 50% opt-in rates. Thing is though, is that again, off of the same traffic that every other funnel has gotten, when we go in here and we run the simulator, you can see that we get literally the highest return on ad spend out of any of the funnels that we've looked at today. And if you're watching this video in a school group and you found this valuable, drop a comment and let me know, and I would be happy to make more of them.